Chris Hayes, the defining experience, the binding glue of the Republican Party under Donald Trump is the performance of self-debasement and humiliation. That is what you do to be part of the Trump cult. That is what binds all of these people to each other. We've watched it happen over and over, almost ritualistically. Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas is the most obvious and cringy example. Just last night, Senator Cruz posted this picture on Twitter showing him and the defeated former president having dinner at Mar-a-Lago. Cruz wrote, "He's in great spirits," which is weird because that's what you say about someone convalescing. "We spent the evening talking about working together to retake the House and Senate in 2022, 3 American flag emojis." Now, Ted Cruz is a man who pretended to get very angry when Donald Trump insulted his wife, but since then has done nothing but bend the knee and kiss the ring and completely debase and humiliate himself publicly in a way that is, frankly, almost hard to watch. It is to human dignity what the sound of nails on a chalkboard are to our ears. But Ted Cruz knows what he's doing. He is debasing himself because that is the price of entrance to Donald Trump's Republican Party, and Ted Cruz wants to be a part of it. We are watching this play out on broader terms now as the party moves towards potentially ousting Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming, the third-ranking Republican in the House. All because she refuses to debase herself. She refuses to say 2 + 2 = 5, to carry on the big lie that Donald Trump won the election that he actually lost. In an opinion piece published in the Washington Post this evening, Congresswoman Cheney vehemently defends herself, writing the Republican Party is at a turning point. Republicans must decide whether we are going to choose truth and fidelity to the Constitution. The question before us now is whether we will join Trump's crusade to delegitimize and undo the legal outcome of the 2020 election with all the consequences that might have. According to new reporting from the Daily Beast, even Cheney's allies now think she is a, quote, dead woman walking. There's a full-out active race going on for her position in leadership as Republican conference chair. Donald Trump endorsed Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York for the job this morning, which Stefanik promptly boasted about in this tweet featuring the former president's Save America logo. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise of Louisiana also threw his support behind Stefanik, while Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, one of only a handful of Republicans to vote for Donald Trump's second impeachment, rallied behind Liz Cheney. Writing on Twitter, every Republican member of Congress needs to go on the record as to how they will vote on Congresswoman Liz Cheney in Operation #CoverUp January 6, and concerned donors should take notes. I will vote for Liz. So, votes are being whipped for a secret ballot election that could come as soon as a week from today when the Republican caucus meets next. And this movement to purge Congresswoman Cheney has nothing to do with her ideology in a traditional sense. She is a very conservative right-wing Republican. Her politics are, in my humble opinion, truly awful. No, this is about the litmus test, the big lie. To give you a sense of just how touchy it is to speak the truth about the election and the big lie, just today, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell was asked specifically about the fact that huge swaths of his party do not believe the election was valid, and he could not respond.
Isn't it a concern that a sizable chunk of the Republican base doesn't believe that this election was valid?
100% of my focus is on standing up to this administration. What we have in the United States Senate is total unity from Susan Collins to Ted Cruz in opposition to what the new Biden administration is trying to do to this country.
Now, McConnell could have easily just said, yeah, it is concerning, and, we want to turn that around. Instead, he decided to tell the obvious truth that he has no broader agenda other than stopping Biden, which we've all known. Now, McConnell can dodge direct questions about Cheney since it's not his chamber, but the person overseeing this whole push to remove Congresswoman Cheney is House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who knows as well as anyone that the cost of being in power in Donald Trump's Republican Party is to humiliate yourself as much as humanly possible. That is what you have to do. Kevin McCarthy has seen this play out up close. More than a decade ago, McCarthy was one of the young guns. The Republican trio, Eric Cantor, Paul Ryan, and McCarthy, was going to be the future of conservative leadership.
There is a better way, and a new team is ready to bring America back. Eric Cantor, Kevin McCarthy, Paul Ryan, joined by common-sense conservative candidates from across the country. Together, they are ready to make history. Together, they are the Young Guns.
I'm sorry we just set off that sadness bomb in your television. So much hope, so much promise, We know what happened. First, in 2014, Eric Cantor lost his seat in a shocking primary upset, getting knocked out by an essentially proto-Trump, anti-immigrant Republican challenger. Next year, after the hard right wing of the Republican caucus basically booted House Speaker John Boehner, young gun Paul Ryan was dragged into duty to take his place. But as the cult of Donald Trump grew, Paul Ryan, who was going to be the future of the party, was completely and abjectly dragged and humiliated and jeered when he did not toe the Trump party line, culminating in Ryan's early retirement from politics. And so Kevin McCarthy understands the rules of the game, which are that Kevin McCarthy has to humiliate Kevin McCarthy. He has to make Kevin McCarthy as small and as painfully abject as possible in order for Kevin McCarthy to thrive in the Trump cult. The story that says it all comes from the Washington Post in January of 2018. McCarthy noticed during a flight on Air Force One that then-President Trump only likes two flavors of Starburst candies, cherry and strawberry. Days later, the number 2 Republican in the House, known for his relentless cultivation of political alliances, bought a plentiful supply of Starburst and asked a staffer to sort through the pile, placing only those 2 flavors in a jar. McCarthy made sure his name was on the side of the gift, which was delivered to a grinning Trump, according to a White House official. Of course, now Donald Trump's no longer in office. He lost badly. Republicans lost both houses of Congress under his watch. He spends his days entertaining guests at Mar-a-Lago. But Kevin McCarthy is still standing, the last young gun, because he is still debasing himself for Donald Trump. And he is now fielding calls from the former president about Liz Cheney, telling him that Cheney will be on her way out soon. Now, at one level, this is all a compelling, if embarrassing, psychodrama, right? The bigger issue is that Donald Trump tried to pull off a great crime, one of the greatest crimes ever committed against American democracy, certainly by a sitting president, arguably, which was to attempt to reverse the results of a democratic election, to install himself in power over the will of the people. And he had a lot of allies in that, but not quite enough of them. And now, what he is doing from his perch in Mar-a-Lago, like a crime boss issuing his orders from prison, is going back through the obstacles that stood in his way and trying to get rid of each of them. In Georgia, a Trump loyalist has launched a primary challenge against Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who you will remember refused Trump's demand to find enough votes to overturn the outcome of the election. In Arizona, the Republican state Senate is running a ludicrous outsourced conspiracy theory-laden ballot audit, trying to create ex post facto fictitious ballot fraud. And his biggest target now is Congresswoman Liz Cheney, because she voted for impeachment, because she has been outspoken about the big lie, and because, unlike the majority of the Republican caucus, she voted to seat the electors on that fateful January 6th day. So ask yourself this. What happens when that faction takes over the Republican Party and they have a majority in the House in, say, the next presidential election? What happens when the House of Representatives, maybe under Speaker Kevin McCarthy, refuses to simply pro forma ratify the election results of January 6, 2025? That's where this is heading. Make no mistake. Stuart Stevens wrote a whole book about his former party's slide into Trumpism titled "It Was All a Lie: How the Republican Party Became Donald